Good evening and welcome to the Mancunian Way. Hope we are all well. And as you can see, we've got a big panel. Only one of them knows a lot about football.
Oh,
Thank you.
I was meeting Rich really, but I was giving Rich a bit of props there. But good morning, gentlemen. How are we?
Morning.
Good.
Evening.
I love the fact you're now good morning, Martin. When
good evening. Yeah, I know it's you.
It's morning here in Australia. You know that, Martin.
I said good morning. That's what I liked.
Yeah.
No, it's because when you speak with Rich, it's like he says good morning. Because Rich confuses you. Me and Ozzy are reading WhatsApp messages, and Rich is going, so is that Friday AM, Thursday PM, and you start losing track.
Anybody want a 7-Up?
Yeah, I wish we sold them over here because I'd be having a load.
Good evening to everyone in the chat. There's loads of comments already in. Adam Quinn, FIFA. Loving your new emoji, FIFA. 7-Up. Big Morgan, Michael Feeney, Super City, all in the house. Good evening. Abdallah's with us. Alec Johnson's with us. Vader's with us. Jack Lee's with us. Charlie, Vader Games. Yusuf's back.
Yay.
Yusuf's back. I wonder why. I was sending a search party out for Yusuf. Liverpool win 7-0 and Yusuf suddenly appears back on streams. That's amazing, that, isn't it?
It is, isn't it?
And Yusuf is a Liverpool fan. He's been missing for about 8 weeks.
Not 7.
No, not 7. Yeah. By the way, if 7-Up want to come and sponsor the channel, we'll gladly throw 7-Up everywhere. Don't you worry.
I've got a crate of it here if you want some, guys.
Have you handed them out to your United mates?
Yes, it's just disappointing we didn't bang 10 past them when we could have done earlier this season.
I know.
Yeah, it's a pity we only played for half a game. And I think...
Go on. Have you sobered up yet, Andy?
Me?
Yeah?
Yeah, just about, mate.
After some of the stuff I saw on social media.
Mate, honestly. I've been ruined this weekend.
That's what you get for being a fake City fan and being a real rad.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
That's me banned on Sunday night.
So anyway, where's the remove button? No.
Good evening as well, Spade Dusk and Sean. How are you? Hope you are well. So yeah, gentlemen, we were going to talk about transfers because there's been a lot of rumours and conjecture and everything else that's been thrown out over the last few days. Now, surprising, it's March. We're getting to that silly time of the season, March and April, when all the agents are going to start, throwing all their players around, offering them to every single club. So I thought we'd have a discussion.
You don't do it yet. It's just the papers that are doing it, isn't it?
So when do you think they do it, Alan? Do you think they do it a week before they all sign?
No, but we're only in March, for God's sake.
When was the Haaland announcement last year, Alan?
Oh,
about June.
No, it wasn't.
There was no official announcement till after he'd signed, Martin.
Exactly.
Yes, there was. March and April, everyone knew where he was going, Rich.
Yeah, but it wasn't officially announced.
Oh, God, here we go. Until he stood there with his shirt in his hand, I don't believe anything.
Alan said himself that it was done and dusted in the January.
Yeah. He'd made his decision, but that was just a rumour. That was just turned out to be true.
Here we go.
I totally agree with Richard. Martin's getting Sheffield United now, isn't he? He's thinking, what can we talk about? I know, transfers.
I think we can talk about transfers.
Well,
But,
what are you doing here then if you didn't really want to talk about them, Alan?
Taking the Mickey, Martin.
Hey!
Alan thinks we need 15 transfers to have a chance of getting top 4. So, of course, he wants to.
I think we need 4, possibly 5, but 4 will be.
I showed you some of the WhatsApp messages I've had off Alan in the last few hours. He doesn't. You'd think we were going down to Division 76 of like non-league Manchester North Counties League or wherever we're going. Oh, hello, Rich. Big
Smith's fan, is it?
We're playing Bury. We're playing Bury at Gig Lane in next season.
I can't wait till the Central League comes back.
I
know.
By the way, can I just say, for the new subscribers, we've gone up nearly 50 subscribers since yesterday. Big up to everyone. Big thank you for that.
Yeah,
I think that might have something to do with you on a certain show yesterday, Martin. When you got me and Ozzy. When you got me and Ozzy. I was getting out of bed thinking there's a show. And I get upstairs and you're on some other channel.
Don't know what you mean.
I think the transfer thing, Martin,
You're saying I've been transferred now.
It was on City Extra. And I'm there, we're going, hang on, I thought you were doing your own show. And I look at the text again. Apparently, me and Ozzy fell for it. What line and thinker?
Adam Quint. Anyway, let's get into it then. So, what I have called it is midfield overhaul. Now, we are going to talk, obviously, about Laporte as well and GIVARDIOL, but I think we all probably in agreement while Rich just sorts out his paperwork there. They're the notes for the show if anyone wants to know. They're about that thick.
Professional.
Tonight on the 10 o'clock news, I think we're all in agreement. It's kind of midfield that we're probably going to see a lot of movement. But there's a lot of rumours and everything else at the moment. And I just thought we'd have a chat about it. So we'll start with you, Ozzy. We'll start with... We'll start with Ilkay Gündoğan because that's come out today. Apparently, Ilkay Gündoğan, we'll start with the outs before we get to the ins. I think that might be before we look at the ins, let's look at who could possibly going out of the door.
You can't beat in and outs, Martin.
Not past the watershed yet. Quite you. Ilkay Gündoğan. We know he's out of contract. Now, there was rumours he was off to Barcelona. Then there was rumours he was going to sign a contract. Now it's come out today from his own lips. He has no idea what he wants to do. There's been no decision. Ilkay Gündoğan, one, do you want to keep him? Two, do you think we'll keep him?
So, I mean, it came out, didn't it, also that Fabrizio Romano said that Ilkay Gündoğan is very much undecided about his future. There are links with him going to Barcelona as a free agent in the summer. And I think he is just very much undecided about where his future lies. Now, you can possibly understand that with the kind of rumours that are coming in that City are looking to rebuild the midfield. Where do you think his place is in that future? Because Kevin's not going anywhere. We know that more than likely Bernardo Silva will probably leave in the summer. So City are looking at bringing 2 new midfielders in. His game time is going to dramatically reduce. So he's thinking, well, do I really want to be fourth fiddle, when it comes to game time, when I've still got so much to offer? And there's no denying that on his day, Gundo is one of the best players for City. He's been a useful, versatile player, but age catches up with everybody, and that midfield definitely needs to be sorted in the summer. Now, I think he's a wonderful player. You'd like to keep him, and I'd like to see him, come in for the odd game. I'd like to see him eventually kind of go into the back room, even be Pep's assistant, because we know he's got future ambitions about becoming a manager. So it would be great to keep him, but does he really think his career is over as a footballer yet? Because that's more than likely what will happen if City do bring in at least 2 new midfielders.
I personally think that. How old is he now? 32, 33? Is he 33 yet?
32.
32. So he's 33 next season, correct?
I think for the end of this season.
Yeah, well, all right. Well, let's say he's 33 next season. I'd let him go on a free. He was Pep's first signing, which he was, and he was injured at 26. 26 million bargain, absolute bargain, what he's returned to the club. And if anyone deserves to go as a free agent to a club of his choice, it's probably him. Okay, he's been wonderful for us, but it comes to a point, like you say, Oz, when age catches up with you. We need to freshen that midfield up, make it more pacey, and more, a lot younger model. I would let Gundo go. The Bernardo situation, who's going to buy him? Because Barcelona have got to raise £176 million before they can buy anybody. So it's going to have to be a free to Barcelona if anyone goes there. So Bernardo won't be. Bernardo won't be
even be free, Alan. They can't sign freebies till they've raised 178
million. Well, let's just say. So where's Bernardo going to go? Who's got the money to give us 65 million euros?
I think we've got the problem.
There's more than one club in the world.
We've got the problem with all the signings.
Barcelona.
He wants to go to Spain. So that means there's only 2 clubs in Spain that he'd probably want to go and play for. That's Real Madrid and Barcelona. The rest of them, why would he go there? So it's all right thinking, yeah, he wants to go. Well, he's been saying this for 2 years that he wants to go. But
would you have seen Raheem Sterling go to Chelsea though?
Well, that's fine. Yeah, but if he's going, let's say Bernardo wants to go and he goes to a club in England. I don't think he'd want to go to a club in England. I think he'd rather stay at City. To be honest
I'm not saying he will, but I think there's other avenues. No one had Cancelo out to Bayern Munich.
Yeah, but he's going to be back. He's going to be back before his loan's over the way
he'll be back and then loan back out again.
Yeah,
we're talking without someone mentioned Benfica. Benfica haven't got a pot to piss in. So,
got 125 million.
Right,
yeah, weeks ago.
I guess going back to Gündoğan, I'd keep him. I think he's been better than Bernardo or De Bruyne this season. I think he's the most intelligent footballer we've got. I think he's experienced, and whilst I think he's only going to play half the games, and I don't think him and De Bruyne necessarily work together anymore, I think Gündoğan, deserves to stay. And there haven't been serious links for him other than Barcelona, and Barcelona aren't going to be signing him. It's like Laporte. Laporte's probably going to be staying, whether he likes it or not, because Barcelona are not going to be spending.
Correct.
So are we a little bit short-sighted here for the real reason why he's still toying with us, Gündoğan? That's because he's been offered a 1-year contract and he wants a 2-year contract. So let's not kid ourselves. It's about money, and for him, and rightly so, he wants a bit of that extra security, because it could be his last big payday, if you like. Yeah. It just resembles so much the Fernandinho situation, where we're only prepared to give him a 1-year deal. Listen, if Gundo was that confident that he's going to get enough minutes, he'll sign a 1-year rolling contract. But I'd love him to stay. I love Gundo. He's a Rolls Royce of a player, and he's got a big future as a manager. But I just think this, as much as I love him, it's about that 1-year stroke 2-year deal.
But if you're running a business of a football club, the club are not going to give out 2 and 3 year deals to a 33-year-old player. Why would you, when you're playing at the top of the Premier League and in the Champions League? You're only going to offer 1 year deals, and if he doesn't want him, let him go.
The thing is that
we don't have any choice, Alan. He makes the decision, so
he's out of contract.
There's no question. Let him go. He makes the call. We make an offer that we think's right, and he decides whether he takes it or not. Yeah. I think, I think he probably did quite fancy Barcelona. I think Barcelona would have seemed very attractive at his age, a slightly easier league. But the reality is, you're not going to see Madrid signing him. Madrid have already got, an aging midfield of world-class players who are old themselves. So the reality is, Bayern aren't going to sign him. So there probably, isn't that many really palatable alternatives to City. So he may well decide that City is his best option with Spanish football off the table. And I think this is going to be a big shape of our summer, because we are going to have potentially 3 or 4 players who maybe we thought were leaving, and maybe now there's some challenges with that. I could see Bernardo go to Paris, so I could see a change there. Bernardo's not going to go to Benfica, but he's not neither financially for him or us, or for what he wants for the football in his prime. So my thing is that a lot of our plans, bar maybe a winger and bar maybe a one midfielder, are probably a bit up in the air until we actually know what's happening. And I don't think we'll know that until well into the summer. So I think it's going to be a challenging summer for City to not sign. We don't want to go and sign GIVARDIOL and then keep Laporte, or we're going to have problems. I think it might be a difficult summer for City, because I think we might have big targets, but we might have big targets who are going up against players who might end up staying.
Well, let's not. So on the premise, what we've sort of like been is that Gundogan?
No, he loves Gundo.
No, so on that premise, I think Gundo's had a okay season. I think we'll all agree KDB's had a pretty shocking season. So isn't it time, playing devil's advocate here, it's not something I want, to reassess KDB, about his either game time? Because if we're going to be bringing in a fresh midfield like Bellingham, for instance, he's the closest thing, I think, to a creator for Haaland. Because when KDB doesn't play, Haaland doesn't look the same player. So I can see a lot of activity there. And we're forgetting we could put Foden in straight in the centre of midfield.
Yeah, and I think De Bruyne will start to play less and Gundo play less, and they won't be playing together. So I think we will be signing, even if they all stayed. I think we'd still need one signing. If we see Bernardo and Gundo go, we might need 2 or 3, because we just haven't really been able to, rest the players, rotate them, have that energy, and we've relied too much on playing Gundo and De Bruyne together, which I think isn't ideal now.
Yeah. I mean, I think when it comes to contact situations, kind of going back onto what Alan was saying about offering, a longer contract for certain players, you look what's happened to Arsenal in the past, where they've offered older players longer contracts. They've got injured, and then you're carrying around a player that you can't get rid of because you've given them a 2-3 year deal. Chelsea was sensible with the way they did it. They didn't go beyond a 1 year contract for certain players of a certain age. It worked really well for them most of the time. I think you've got to be very careful, because, you look at Liverpool, what's happened to them this season. Their midfield is completely aged out. And if you keep older players around, yes, you want that experience. But if you've got too many of them and you don't replace them, look what's happened to Liverpool. So there's a balance. There is a balance you've got to work. And just on the kind of Laporte situation and Bernardo Silva, I think you could be slightly short-sighted, because you look what happened with David Silva. He went to a team that most people wouldn't have thought he would have gone to when he left City, and he's flourished. He's done really well. He's playing a lot more than probably a lot of people, City fans, would have thought he would have. So I think you've got to be careful, because I think there are clubs out there that will be willing to spend money. It's just they will be spending a little bit more sensibly, because they haven't got the cash like the Premier League clubs have right now. So
David Silva didn't go at 28, 29. He went at nearly, past 34. And that's the difference. David Silva went when his economic value to City in terms of a transfer fee had gone, because he was, getting close to 35. Aymeric Laporte is in his absolute prime. So is Bernardo. They're both in their late 20s. And they are players who we're going to want 70, 80 million for.
You're not going to get 70. You're not going to, though, Rich, because he's got 2 years. He's got 2 years left.
Yeah.
At the end of this, in the summer, on his deal. No one's going to pay that kind of money. And if a player wants to go,
we're not going to let him go for 15 million to Real Sociedad, and that's the point. We're not going to sell.
I'm talking about Laporte here. I'm talking about Laporte. Yeah.
We're not going to sell Laporte less than 55, 60 million.
We were saying this about Leroy Sané.
We're on Laporte now. We're still on.
Leroy Sané had an ACL and less than a year left on his contract.
But before that, he was going to go the summer before he had his ACL.
Yeah, and we wouldn't. And there
was a deal already on the.
And Bayern didn't pay, and he didn't go.
Yeah.
It's just going to be. It's also you got to think about is the wages as well. The players are on. But remember how hard it was to get rid of Otamendi, and I was not a fan of his. But the guy was on 150 grand a week. The general, yeah, whatever. But he was on 150 grand a week, and there was no club in Europe that was prepared to pay the 150 grand because he wanted the same money or more. And we ended up having to pay his contract out because it took ages to get that deal done because we were arguing about that.
Well, the thing is though, if a club, say, who don't historically pay big transfer fees, big wages, if they get a free transfer like a Gündoğan, they can afford to up his wages. I agree with something Sean said before about I wouldn't rule him going out to Germany. I wouldn't rule him going back to Dortmund, especially if Bellingham does come our way.
That's
so if you're going to get a Rolls Royce of a player on a free transfer, you can afford to up the wages because something. A, he's worth it, and B, you're not paying a penny in a transfer fee for him.
Dortmund can pay those wages. Dortmund's got enough. Dortmund have got the money to pay decent wages. If he wants to go back there.
One at a time. Go on, Rich.
No, just saying, if Gundo wanted to go to Dortmund, Dortmund could pay him what it's worth, and if he wanted to go back to Dortmund for whatever reason, that would be an option to him. There's not really ever been any suggestions from his camp about that. It's been more City fans suggesting, can we get a bit of money for him in a Bellingham swap, or can it help leverage a Bellingham swap? I mean, the answer's no, because he's out of contract, so they can get him regardless. But if Dortmund need a midfielder, he's a world-class player. He'd as a squad player, he'd get in any squad around. And
by the way, good evening, Carl.
He could really help. He could be quite central to a team like Dortmund.
Evening, Martin.
Yeah, personally, I think Laporte could also go to Real Madrid because I think they'll be looking at a centre back in the summer, and they can definitely afford his wages and probably afford a decent transfer fee for him.
Right.
Yeah. I'd prefer Laporte go to leave the club than Ake, to be fair.
Yeah, all day.
I mean, Gundo, I think he'll end up back in Germany. Personally, I think he'll end up. I think Andy's spot, and I've always thought he'd gone back to Dortmund
with a view to his coaching matches over there in his own land.
Go back home, free transfer. He can choose where he wants to go, and I think he's done enough for the football club to decide where he wants to go.
Yeah,
I really do. I think it's fair enough for him. When it comes to Laporte, it's a more interesting one. A few have said in the chat, and Rich said so. Well, we want 70 million, or we don't move. Problem is with Laporte, he's only got 2 years left on his deal.
Yeah.
the chance of signing a new contract is going to be limited.
The problem with Laporte, and the problem I've said all for the past 2 or 3 years, the numbers for Laporte's different. Laporte is not an amortized asset. Laporte is a release clause asset, which means that you have to make the money back. It's not amortized. So just for people's clarity, when you buy a player, let's say you're buying for 100 million for 5 years, you pay 20 million a year for the next 5 years to the club you bought him from. Laporte's release clause was a cash deal. We literally gave Laporte a check for £65 million. He went to La Liga and got his registration transferred over. That's how it works.
Yeah, but you can still amortize that, so it's still amortized over his contract.
It depends.
I don't think you're going to get
not necessarily. Not necessarily. If it's a release clause in Spain, it's a cash deal.
It's cash, but it's still amortized over the contract. It's in the accounts. It's
not in terms of the asset valuation, not in terms of the cash out.
No, but cash has got nothing to do with the amortization.
But
cash is the cash flow you agree to pay. So
just explain. The amortization is when you pay the club that you're buying from.
No. Amortization is a purely balance sheet accounting item.
It's
where
actually
book it to the P&L.
It's actually
cash
both.
flow.
It's actually both. I do it all the time. Right. For those out there, it's simply like, for example, you want to buy a car, right, for £50,000 over 10 years. Divided by that, that's what you pay the bank.
I've got a simple question. All right, a simple question. Whenever City ever sold a player and got their market value for that player?
Well, I mean, the bottom for me, the Laporte discussion, I've said it every year for me, it's just until it happens, I'm not even buying it.
I think the fact is that as football is a completely free market, every player ever sold is sold for the market value. Ultimately, players are sold for what the market is prepared to pay for them. So I think when City have sold players for values that the fans don't perceive as the market value, but ultimately it is the market value because that is what you can ultimately get. And football is ultimately a completely capitalist business in that sense. But I think what happens with City is that once a player has made it clear they want to go, then the leverage is much stronger for the buying club. If a player's on high wages and that's a problem for the buying club, they're going to factor that into what they'll pay. So ultimately, it is hard to get massive transfer fees for very highly paid players.
I don't like the policy of if I want to go, you can leave. I think it's BS. I think it's actually wrong.
That's what we do, though.
But it's wrong. It's wrong.
But also, like, if he's got 2 years left on his deal and he turns around and says, "I want to go," or at least it's highly advertised through certain agents, Fabrizio Romano and others, to say he wants out, 2 years left on his deal. Do you really think you're going to get 70 to 80 million for him?
Yeah, you might not, and that's why they stay. That's why Bernardo's been here for 2 years. Because
can I just jump in on this?
Didn't get what we wanted.
We're not going to keep this squad as it is for the next 2 years. This squad is not just going to stay still for 2 years. Because you've got two examples you've got to take in. If this is the big if, Alan, calm your pacemaker down when I say this. Do not go off the rails. If City in 2 years get the outcome that the rest of the Premier League are hoping for, if we then don't do anything for the next 2 years because we've got to keep everyone because we can't sell anyone because we're not going to get the money we want, we're then screwed moving forward. That's point one. You are then looking at your academy. Also, you're in a situation where when a player hits 2 years of a contract, that's when you make decisions as a club. You go contract extension, or do you go, where do we go? Because once they hit into that last year, that's when the players gets all the power then. The players then got the power. I can roll my contract down and I walk out for free. He's 28. He's not 32. Someone made a comment yesterday. There's 9 games, the last 8 or 9 games, he's been sat on the bench and not come on hardly. That is no good for Aymeric Laporte. Aymeric Laporte's come out and said, I want to play these games. Don't want Southampton. Keep saying it's in the Carabao Cup. Aymeric Laporte ain't wanting Southampton in the Carabao Cup.
The problem is,
Laporte's not getting 5 minutes.
Martin, the problem is there's only a handful of clubs in Europe that can afford him.
I understand that. But that's why you'll see with like the João Cancelo, you got a loan with an option to buy out the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what happens when João Cancelo comes back in the summer? And, you know...
So do we keep the squad as it is for 2 years, Rich?
Well, Bayern aren't going to sign him, so he's going to be coming back. It's whether we've then got...
We can't run with a 33, 34, 35-year-old midfield for the next 2 years.
No, we can't. But, you know, I don't think... I think there's separate issues. I think we needed to sign someone this season. Even with the midfielders we currently have, we still need that Bellingham-type player with energy in that midfield. We haven't got an adequate midfield today with those players staying. So I think we, regardless, even if Gündoğan stayed, we need to go. And even if Gündoğan and Bernardo stayed, we still need to sign a midfielder. The question is whether we need to sign one or whether we need to sign multiple.
But the trouble is, Rich, Bellingham's over 100. You're looking at GIVARDIOL for Laporte. That's 90 million. You are looking at over 200-300 million.
This is why it makes no sense to go to sell Laporte. You sell Laporte, left foot center back probably in Europe when he plays. For Guardiola, who's not interested in the Premier League. Why? Make the case.
I'll tell you what we've missed out a trick on. João Felix going to Chelsea. 100%. I thought he was absolute quality. We missed it. I'll say just a couple of points on what you said before, mate. I'll put a spin on it. You know, you say we don't get the market value for players going out. If you look historically, though, we've had Aguero, Company, Silva, players of that ilk. Yeah, even Yaya Toure. Big offers have come in from them, but the players themselves said no, don't want to go. So if we had sold an Aguero, a David Silva at their prime, we would have got top dollar for them. But on the flip side, look at the players what we've brought in at a low price as well. You like see your Edisons, even Raheem Sterling we got for 50 million. You know, something we've done some good business, you know, along the way.
Oh yeah, Andy,
Netflix have gone cheap.
Andy, I'm not going to deny that. You know, we've done some great business bringing players in, and it's all ifs, maybes, and buts really when it comes to players that like Aguero, Company, Yaya Toure, because they wanted to stay. But the problem is what you've got is when players want to go, and we know that Bernardo Silva wants to go. We've got a good chance that Laporte wants out the door as well. You've got Cancelo who wants out the door. I think City may have to think about selling these players for a cut price because,
I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah, because as Martin said, if we want to freshen things up and these players don't want to be here, ultimately you're going to have to go. I'm going to have to lose out on the value of these players, and I'm going to have to sell them at a cut price.
That's when I do agree with it. You know, because listen, we could have in a real world we could have done with Cancelo staying with us, but for whatever reason, something's gone on. Regardless of what he said, Pep would not shuffle somebody out so quickly if he wasn't trouble. So
I think he's one we would sell cheap. You know, I don't think we've obviously been very clear. We're not selling Bernardo cheap. We've had 2 summers where Bernardo's wanted
he is going to end up going cheap, Rich.
Well, if he runs down his
contract situation.
Yeah, if he wants to go, see ya. If he wants to go, see ya. Because
this is the problem. This is what I'm saying. When you've only got 2 years left on your contract, you can't sit there and go, I want 70, 80, 90 million quid.
Nope.
It's not going to happen.
You don't work. You're very, very rarely going to. I know people are going to go, Leao. Leao is playing everybody at the minute. Leao is staying at AC Milan. Leao ain't budging. The reason Leao, because I've properly looked into this today, Leao, believe it or not, has come out and talked about all these rumours of contracts, and he said it's all fake. His agent has said on the 1st of February he wants to stay in Italy. Doesn't really want to go to England. And funnily enough, it was a CAS case. He actually owes Sporting Lisbon 18 million euros. That was done by CAS. That's actually what's holding the contract up for AC Milan. He wants AC Milan to pay Sporting Lisbon the 18 million for it. That's what's holding that contract up.
the other side to this, though, about letting players go cheap is it's not just about, the rational decision about you losing them in 2 years. If you let players know that they stick rumours in the press and you'll sell them for half the price, you're going to have agents doing that with players who are actually far more settled, and you're going to open yourself up financially to the risk that any player, you could have 100 million player in their prime. If they think they want to get a massive pay rise, they start putting the rumours out there and you sell them for 40. You're devaluing your whole asset. So City have the balance between, not letting players go cheap, not letting players know that they can get bumper situations financially by using their agents to spread the rumours that they want to go. So City have to a degree, hold to what is a reasonable transfer value for those players for the sake of managing the entire squad. But that's the difference in midfield and defence, because if Laporte stays, we don't need GUVARDIOL. Even if Gündoğan stays, we still need Bellingham. So I think I agree with it. We also need someone wide forward.
What do you do then? You keep Laporte. He doesn't sign a new contract. Your targets go somewhere else. What do you do then?
Your targets.
You have also got a plan for the future as well. We can't keep sitting here, Rich. I get what Carl's saying in a way of we can't keep sitting, letting the tail wag the dog.
Yeah, but I
understand we have this policy of it's up to the players. They're not happy to go. I get that. But the problem is what I'm trying to say here. If you go, right, we keep Laporte, we keep Bernardo, in 2 years' time they're out. They ain't signing new contracts.
Well, that depends. If the deals don't come in, Laporte may want to go because he believes there's a £250,000 a week contract at Barcelona on the table. But one of the reasons he's not playing is probably because he's, wanting out. It's a circular thing. But ultimately, if those deals can't happen, then he may, if he has a choice between staying at City on the type of contract he's on and re-signing, or going to Seville,
don't drop your coat.
The wages, he's going to stay.
No one saw that.
If he has a chance to go to Barca, then maybe he will go, but that doesn't look likely.
The thing is, Rich, I do agree with you that I think City have held fast when it comes to Bernardo Silva. They've gone, you're not going until we get the market value, what we want for him. But I think the only flaw that I think is in your plan is when you've got 3 top players in your squad all wanting out, you've got to make some sacrifices. Whether it's 2 of them and you keep 1 of them, something has got to happen. Do you know what I mean? Because I agree with you. I think you need to try and stay fast and hold fast to those players, but not to all 3. 1, yes.
I think Cancelo's gone. I think, he'll come back because Bayern won't sign him, but he'll be moved on and they will give a cut price on him. I just don't think we'll necessarily go cut price on the others. Although I do think maybe PSG will offer us the money we want for Bernardo.
He's obviously not
we could use Laporte as a bargaining tool because he's still worth X amount of money. We can't do that with Gündoğan. That's the difference. We can, if Cancelo wants to go to say Real Madrid or something like that, maybe Pep will think, there's a player where we could do some sort of deal. Same with Barcelona and stuff like that. But also another point is, let's not forget, like there's been talk of Declan Rice, coming into City and stuff like that. There's no way we'll get a Declan Rice because he'll look at our midfield and go, am I really going to get game time there? Yeah. Is that a stage in his career where he's thinking, I need minutes? Calvin Phillips is not getting minutes for whatever reason. He ain't getting it ahead of Rodri, So quite rightly,
he's going to come and sit on the bench, spot on under.
Yeah, he will go somewhere where he's got a chance of getting minutes and winning something, and it won't happen at City.
Yeah, Carl, I just wanted to get your opinion on this. I know you're in and out of meetings at the moment. Are you there, Carl?
I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm watching the foolishness.
In terms of, like I said, you got Laporte, you've got Bernardo with 2 years left to run. do you take the gamble on, keep them, let them go for free, or do you sell for whatever you can and get your targets that you can get now?
Well, so for me, Bernardo has expressed his desire to go back to Benfica when in his early 30s, 31, 30. He expressed his desire to do that. He has 2 years left. He's 28, 29. Let him go on a free. Let him do 10 years. Go on a free. Where can you find another Bernardo Silva in the whole world that plays like him? Now, if Laporte really wants to go and there's a market for him, okay, sell him. But Bernardo gives us so much. What he does on the ball is so much. Off the ball is so much. You're not going to find another Bernardo Silva.
Can I say something about Bernardo? I would offer him a two-year extension with a lot higher money than he's getting.
Yeah,
till he's 32. Then let him go to Benfica where he wants to go and play for free.
He wants.
I'd call his bluff. I'd say, listen, we want to renew your contract. Then we'll really know whether he really wants to go or stay.
There's a
contract on the table for Bernardo Silva for quite a number of years now. He wants to leave. He has no intention.
He wants more money because they're not offering him any more money.
They have offered him more money.
Well, how much? Not enough. He's only on 150, and he's one of our better players.
I know, and he's been offered more than that. I can tell you that now, and he does not want to stay. His intention is to leave. Mm-hmm. I love Bernardo Silva. I think you're all right. He is one of the best players we've got right now in our squad.
Yeah. He's not
but he wants to go. See ya.
Exactly. He wants to go. And I think you've seen it this season. His performances have lagged. They've started to kind of unwind a little bit. And I think the more and more you try and keep a player who doesn't want to stay at the club, his professionalism has been brilliant over the last couple of years that he's wanted to go, but that only lasts so long. Okay? He's got 2 years left. He wants out. He will find a way to go. You can't keep a player any longer than that now.
Totally agree with you, Ozzy. Totally agree.
I just, the reason we do it, this is all surmising. We're just talking about it just because there's been so much speculation. None of us are in the nose. We're not trying to claim to be. I think the problem is we've got, when you look at if they want the players they want, like your GIVARDIOL, you're looking at 90 million, probably. Then his wages. Bellingham, under 150, plus his wages. You're then looking at another midfielder, whether it's Kovacic or... I mean, personally, what I would do, I'd forget all this Declan Rice nonsense and I would go back to Southampton and go, we'll have Lavia back for 40 million. Thanks very much.
So you get rid of Phillips. You get rid of Phillips.
No. Not saying that. I'll give Phillips another year. But if you want to bring in...
Why sign Lavia then?
Because...
We're forgetting we've got
Peroni. Declan Rice.
We've got Peroni as well, you know.
Phillips will be there next year. There'll be no signing in that area. I'll tell you that now. They've got Peroni. There'll be no signing in that area. Phillips will get another year easily. Right?
All right, then. All right. Well, where are you thinking the signings are?
We need two more attacking midfielders for me. Possibly just one, I think we realistically will get. All right? And I would go looking at someone like, now Barcelona in that situation. I'll be looking at Gavi immediately.
But don't go back to what I was saying. If they are top quality players, they will look at our squad and think, what are my chances to be playing week in, week out? Will they really?
If they get rid, let's say Ozzy is right, and Bernardo goes and Gundo goes, right? That means we need two players to replace those people who are more attacking midfielders than defensive midfield players. So then you're in the market for attacking midfield players. One of them is Bellingham, which is a 50-50 shot with Liverpool and Overhaul. Okay. And the other one, if you're not telling me you should be looking at Barcelona, if they're looking to raise money, you should be looking at one of the Barcelona midfield players. Easily. Because they're quality players.
I've said that if Bernardo wants to go to FC Barcelona, there's a very easy deal to make with Frankie de Jong. Easy. The math is easy.
Yeah.
It's an easy deal to make.
Yeah, but not until Barcelona have sold 178 million.
That's another problem there.
Players, and
it's all right saying we've got a release clause for a release clause for him, Charlie. But when you have to raise money so they can go into the transfer market, they're going to have to sell players on the cheap. They're going to have to do it,
and that's the problem. They're going to have to. Everyone this summer is going to be offering Barcelona half what they think the players are worth.
Yep.
Because they know they've got to do it. And so, they'd probably have to sell 3 of their decent players. And you look at the list of players they want to sell, it's players like Longelay, who, people probably won't take on a free. Even De Jong, last summer, people wouldn't pay close to what Barcelona wanted for him. So they've got a real problem. Gavi has a release clause, but no one's going to pay 10% of his release clause. So
they're not.
Absolute irrelevance. It's just they just do that to try and make a
point.
It depends whether Barcelona want Bernardo as much as Bernardo wants Barcelona, and I don't want Bellingham. He's just missed the sitter against Chelsea.
I just genuinely think, Carl and Rich, you have to go in a minute, so we'll let you speak before us babble on. I just think City are a bit of a crossroads this summer. If you look at all the players we've been linked with, you're looking at Bellingham, you're looking at, it's all the same names. So it's all right with Alan throwing in a Gavi, and it's all the same names we've been linked with, which tells you that there's clearly a list of where they want to go. There's clearly a list of where they want. So when you look at the players, it's huge amounts of money we're talking now.
I think we've got a 50-50 chance with Bellingham.
No, that's fine, Alan. I understand that, but it's like wingers. We've been linked with one winger, and that's Leao, and I think that's all. I think that's all agent talk to get a new. We've not been linked with one winger, not one. Yeah. It's clear that there ain't wingers on this list of what we're looking at the moment. It's more midfield.
Would you take Sammy back?
No.
But
Carl, before you go,
yeah.
Do you see City doing a lot of business in or out this summer?
I think they're going to do both. Yeah, I agree. They are going to do both. Not a lot, but enough.
Yeah, I agree with that.
One midfielder and probably a winger. That's what they're going to do.
What about fullback?
Yeah, left back.
Ben Chilwell, anyone?
I wouldn't say no. It's better than what we've got.
Yeah, true.
He's a little bit injury prone, but something. I'd take him. I think he's quality.
He is. He's better than what we've got. Simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
Rich, what do you think before you jump?
Well, I think we'll sign a wide forward, not necessarily a winger, but someone to probably alternate with Mahrez potentially, and I think we'll sign a midfielder even if no one goes, because I think that Bellingham type player is needed today regardless. I just as GUVARDIOL, I'm just not sure we will be able to sell Laporte this summer, and I don't think we'll do the GUVARDIOL deal until Laporte's already out the door. Correct. So I remain sceptical on that, and I must admit I think one of the reasons why City haven't been as good this year as a team in an attacking sense is a lot less Laporte and Stones, who are by far our best defenders at passing and playing attacking football. As much as I've loved Ake's play defensively and Akanji's pace, they just don't offer close to what Laporte and Stones have offered in terms of breaking the lines, in terms of passing, in terms of starting the moves, and in terms of the way they link with Rodri. So I think it would be sad, because I don't think, if Laporte goes, I don't think GUVARDIOL's an upgrade. I think it's
he is.
buying someone. No, I don't think he is. No, I don't think he is. I don't think he is. I think
you're not watching the games.
I think Laporte has been one of the top centre backs in the top games in Europe for many years.
I'm not denying that.
I think he's obviously 7 years younger, and that's important.
Leaps like a salmon, brings the ball out tremendously.
No, he leaps like a salmon when he puts his hands on the player's shoulder and leverages the player to jump up. He got up like a salmon when Diaz didn't manage to get off the ground.
I disagree about Ake. Ake at times, when it's a bit of a dull game, he brings that ball out, Ake. He makes something happen, and he links up really, really well with Grealish as well. Laporte doesn't do that. Don't get me wrong, I used to love Laporte, but his sell-by date with City is up, in my opinion.
I think unfortunately for Laporte, he, by winning us the league last year, which he ultimately did because he was the one who played injured, I don't think this season he has fully recovered from playing injured for a month. And we would not have won the league last year without Laporte playing injured when the other players wouldn't.
Laporte has been an absolute amazing servant, but I'm kind of with Andy a little bit. If he wants out, Rich, and
if he wants out, we get the price he goes.
No, but Rich, whether you like this or not, you look at the last 9 games, he's on the bench.
Yeah, I'm saying if we get the price, he goes.
He's kind of.
We're not going to sell him for 20. We're not going to sell him for 15 million. We're not going to sell him for 15 million.
I know that, Rich. I understand that, but we're not going to sell him for 80 either. I think it's somewhere in between.
Oh yeah, no, I'm sure we'd probably sell him for 60 or something if it really.
I think they'd sell him for 50.
Yeah, and then we play twice that for a player. We play twice that for a player who's not as good, which I don't ultimately
forget that. But with his contract, this is the problem. If he had 4 years left on his deal, totally we are 80, 90, 100 million with you 100%. He's 2 years.
Yeah, and we can afford to let him go. I mean, ultimately, if you get 2 good years for him, that's worth more to City than selling him for 40 million.
Not from the bench, we won't, though, will we?
I don't think against his will. Are going to stand still. They're not going to say to Laporte, you just come in when you're sort of happy and we'll sort of sit on you for 2 years. They're not going to do that. Oh, I think Rich has just got into work mode.
Sorry, it went off.
Are you all right, Rich?
Yeah, I've got to drop anyway, so...
All right, you get going, mate. I'll see you Thursday. Yeah. Thanks for joining us.
See ya, Rich.
Cheers, Rich. Have a good one.
But I get what everyone's saying. I get it. And this is why transfer streams are a bit weird. I get it. The only reason we're doing it is because there's so much being talked about at the minute. It's not... It's such a subjective situation, transfers, because everyone wants the players they want. They all want the thing. Why I don't think a Ben Chilwell or even a Robinson or anyone comes in, I think because this keeps saying his back three's going nowhere. His back three stays. Mm-hmm. You see Cancelo's issue right now. Cancelo's moved from a back three at Manchester City and gone, I'm out of here, gone to Bayern Munich, who play what? A back three. He's back on the bench again. He's walked straight out of one situation and walked straight into the exact same situation at Bayern Munich. And then sat there now going, I don't know what to do anymore.
And that will sort of like hinder us as well, Martin, because other potential buyers now will think, hang on, this lad's moving about. How come nobody's nailing money to him to bring him to our club? Only somebody who plays a team that plays a back four will think, you know, something. We'll take a punt on him because he doesn't suit a back three. Quite rightly, what you said. But a back four. But there's something trouble about it. Look how many clubs he's had in his short career. There's something fundamentally wrong with Cancelo.
Do you know what? I kind of slightly disagree with Cancelo in some respects that we did see him play a back three because he was going into the midfield So I think you can do that with him, because I think we have lost something with not having him in the team. Because for me, when he was playing at his best, Alan, he was one of the best, right backs, left backs in Europe.
He shouldn't be such a dickhead, should he?
I'm not saying about his attitude.
Language.
I'm not saying about his attitude, Alan. I'm talking about the raw talent of the player.
Oh, yes, he's talented, but there's no. Andy was right. There's no way Pep has kicked him out that quickly unless he's been out of order a few times.
I agree with what I'm saying is we're missing something now. He's gone. Is all I'm saying. Yeah. Okay, and I feel.
I think Grealish's game has come on leaps and bounds since Cancelo's disappeared out.
Massively, mate. And that's
why I was saying Grealish has done that since Cancelo's out the door.
And that's why I'm saying it.
You know why?
I can link something superbly.
You know why?
There's no denying that. What I'm saying is that I'm not talking about how it's affected the rest of the team. I'm just saying when he was in the team before, you look at now what we're seeing, is I'm saying he was one of the best right backs in the world. Okay, and we have missed something for him going. And I'm not arguing about the point where he had to go because of his attitude, but at the same time, when we're looking at what Martin has said, if we are sticking with the back three, then it all depends on who we bring in the summer.
I honestly think that's where GIVARDIOL comes in. That's why I don't think you need a Ben Chilwell. I don't think you need a Chilwell, and you don't need a left back if you're bringing in a GIVARDIOL.
You need to have both.
If you can keep your back line of Ake, GIVARDIOL, no, I don't mean this should be the play. I'm talking about your selection options. John Stones, GIVARDIOL, Ake. You got to remember Kyle Walker. We don't know the situation with Kyle Walker come the summer. That's a really intriguing one.
Where does Diaz fit in?
Oh, and Diaz. But to me, that would be such and GIVARDIOL suits a back three. He's left-footed. He's younger. Laporte
is an upgrade on what we've got.
Laporte has been exceptional. I will never have a bad word said about Laporte.
He's no pace. He's no pace.
He's just at the situation where he wants to. We're back to where we were with Sterling and Zinchenko and Gabe. At 28 years old, they want to play nearly every game.
The thing is, Mark,
you're there.
I would love to keep Laporte. I really would, because he's 28, but you think about it, most centre-backs can go on a lot longer than your forward players. So you could say we could get another 5, maybe even 6 years out of him. Do you know what I mean? So I think that the situation, though, is that if he wants to go, then you've got to be looking at his replacement. And obviously City are being heavily linked with Guardiola. And I think you've just got to say, get what you can for Laporte, let him go, be a fantastic servant, and then bring in his replacement.
The thing is, Ozzy, as well, you've got to look at attitude of players. Now, if Laporte's not got the heart to fight, like Aki's had the heart to fight for his place, maybe he's not for us anyway.
Do you know what? That is... If I'm Laporte and Cancelo right now and you're Pep, I mean, look at Andy. He is the English version of Pep. I mean, look at him. But you turn around and you say to Laporte, and you say to Cancelo, look at him. No, that ain't working, mate. You've no chance. You look like I'm like
a Beatles reject.
No, but honestly, you turn around and you say to them, look at Nathan Ake. That boy was leaving in the summer. He was out the door. He's turned it completely around, and he's now the first name on the team sheet at the moment, Nathan Ake.
He's
an absolute rock.
I mean,
that's part of the reason Laporte's pissed off, because he's probably sat there going, bloody Nathan Ake's in front of me now. What do I do now?
But Martin, I mean, most teams need to have at least two players in every position. And the way, like, especially in the Premier League, you play so many games, especially if you're playing at the top level, you need to have rotation. So these players have always understood that that happens in most big clubs, especially in the Premier League. You've got to have big enough squads to rotate. No, you've got to have them, Martin. You've got to have them because you have injuries. We've seen that in the past with City. You don't have enough players in certain positions. You suddenly,
I would say 2 years ago, yeah, I think we were in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
I think what Pep's done, I think Pep's decided, especially after the Gabby the Sterling situation, he's gone, I can bring in 2 or 3 EDS lads to cover. Still got me Mahrez. It's like you look at his wingers, people are his forwards. You've got Grealish, Foden, Mahrez, and Cole Palmer that he can roll around. Alvarez. I honestly think this is why I don't think you're going to see a wide forward because I think he's happy with that 4.
Foden
I think
can
he's
play
totally
anywhere.
happy with that 4 to go with.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, he's totally happy. You've got Alvarez, Foden, Grealish, Mahrez.
The only thing that the only thing I kind of slightly disagree with is I feel that you need to have some pace. You need to have some sort of kind of. Foden's doing really well at the moment. There's no denying that. But compared to Foden's the only pacey one out of our wingers. You know, Mahrez is not that quick, and he's going to be another year older. And I just think that's a situation we haven't talked about as well. How long has he got left? You know, Palmer can't get it. Palmer can't get in the team. Okay. And Grealish has been brilliant, but he's not quick. And I just feel you need to have something different on the bench, especially for certain games. You need to have pace. And that's something
I agree, but Mahrez is not your natural winger. He's never had pace, but the job he does is different. Pep's a huge fan of Mahrez. It's quite clear that because, you know, Mahrez is knocking on a little bit and he's been offered he's signed a new deal. It's very unlike Pep, that. So Pep knows the biggest thing what Pep loves is ball retention. Mahrez does that. Grealish, I believe, was playing under Pep's instructions at the start of the season. Hold the ball, pass it, retain the ball, pass it sideways, pass it back. But as the season's developed, you know, after the World Cup, you're seeing Grealish absolutely, you know, is undroppable. He's carrying us at the moment.
Yeah. The other thing I'm also just like to point upon as well, something that Martin, you said earlier, is that you could look and see that if we lose Bernardo Silva and Gündoğan, and we only bring in one midfielder, you could see one of those players like Foden or Grealish moving into the centre of the field.
Yeah, no, you could. And that's why I think we'll sign.
And then you may see a winger come in. And I'm not saying it's going to be traditional. It may not be a traditional winger. No.
No wingers on the radar at all.
Martin, let me finish. I said it may not be your traditional winger, as you said, like a Leroy Sané or a Sterling, but it might be another forward player, because if you only get one of your targets for centre midfield, then you are going to think about Guardiola does this. He moves players around, and he's moved Foden into the midfield already this season. I think that's his long-term position. So for me, that's a possibility you have to think about as well. And
are we not missing Alvarez in that wide? You know, he can play wide. I think Alvarez has got. Everyone's assuming that Alvarez plays straight down the middle with Haaland. He's got a lot to offer, either on the right or on the left, depending on how Pep sees his opposition. I think Alvarez has still got a lot to offer especially on the right, because I see Foden playing more and more central if, and it's a big if, De Bruyne's form doesn't improve drastically.
No, by the way, I don't hate natural wingers. I've just seen we've come away from that.
Since you don't play them.
We don't play them anymore. We've sold them all, mate.
Yeah, we don't. But Pep doesn't play wingers. He plays inside, wide. That's what he plays. Does not play
that
wingers.
Front three for me was the absolute perfect front three on Saturday.
Yeah.
Grealish gives you the control. You have the chaos from the directness from Foden in the pace. Haaland's in the middle.
Yeah.
That to me is the best front three we have. And but like Andy says, you've got Alvarez to walk in as well. If we hadn't have had Alvarez, I'm with you, Ozzy. Yeah, go and get someone, but I don't think we do, and that's why I don't think we've even been linked with anyone, because you've got Alvarez there.
The only reason I'm saying it, especially though, Mike, is just because I feel that if we don't get two midfielders, then I just feel that Grealish or Foden will move into that midfield spot, and then you might need.
I think we only sell Bernardo if we get that second midfielder.
But I'll be honest with you. I can only see one midfielder leaving. I'll be honest with you.
Which is
it's either Gundo or Bernardo.
Gundo's gone anyway. Alan, Gundo. You got to remember with Gundo, that's out of our hands.
Yeah.
We don't have the control.
Like I just said to you, I can only see City letting one of them go.
The thing is, as well, there's something we haven't actually touched upon. Is what if we don't get our top target, Jude Bellingham? Now, I mean, there's been reports today that while he's been in London, he's had meetings. Well, his representatives, mainly his dad being his representative, have had meetings with Real Madrid. Now, obviously, it's just speculation, but I think, Alan, you were saying that it's a 50-50. I still think it's a toss-up between Liverpool, City and Madrid.
I agree. Totally agree.
And I think it's rare a player turns around to Madrid and says no. Do you know what I mean?
It'll be a case. If you look at the situation now,
I had to throw that in when you said that. Just two of the two best strikers in the world. Not told him to F off.
When you look at the situation with Bellingham now, he has a choice between Liverpool, where he'd probably start every single week with their current situation in midfield. He would start every guaranteed, right? At City, he would play the rotation game, and he would. He'd be in and out all the way through. At Real Madrid, he'd probably start every week because they've got to get new midfielders in.
Does he start every week at Madrid?
I don't think he does at Madrid. I think at Liverpool.
I think personally, I just think he'll go to Liverpool.
The thing is, he'll burn out at Liverpool. They'll overplay him.
I agree with you, Alan. If Liverpool had got taken over. With FSG, I'm not sure they stick under an odd million down.
Bellingham's coming to City.
Do you reckon?
I hope so, Andy.
I hope you're right.
No, he's got all the England lads.
I'm keeping quiet. I have heard something on the grapevine.
I'm his best mate.
So I don't look like a numpty in 3 months' time.
No, I'll say that. I'll say it. He's coming to City. All his England mates are there. His best mate on the planet is Haaland. Him and Haaland played brilliantly together at Dortmund. It's a no-brainer. We've got the money in the bank already.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Andy. It's a no-brainer entirely. It really is, because everything you've just said is true. I just have this nagging doubt that I don't think it's Liverpool, just because he'll be overplayed. They need more than just Bellingham.
I don't think Real Madrid are in it. I think it's us or Liverpool.
Yeah,
that's what I've heard. It's us or Liverpool. Real Madrid, got to remember, dropped 100 odd million on Tuchemana.
Yeah.
They've then got Camavinga. They've got Kroos. They've got Modric. Yes, but they have got the replacements already in.
I'll do your deal.
150 million of Bellingham.
I'll do your deal. If Bellingham doesn't come to City in the summer, I will ride to Blackpool naked for charity.
Don't say it to me. Say it, Alan. Don't say it to me, Andy.
I will. That's how confident I am.
Wow.
Well,
all I'll say is, I was talking with Big Steve.
Andy, if it happens.
He'll kill me for this. Big Steve just went, like I said, live on the air, he went, just relax on it. All he said was relax.
What does Steve have to? What does Steve know? People.
I'm not gonna just said relax.
Yeah, Alan, we're not doing that. If Big Steve
relax.
said
Frankie
that,
goes to Hollywood. Relax.
Yeah.
Just relax. There's no point, because at the end of the day, Liverpool need more than one midfielder. Sean just said it in the comment. Are they going to blow their whole budget smack bang onto, because he knows someone at the club, Charlie, He's actually got Vinny Company's mobile phone number. I don't know if you know that, Charlie. 150 million with wages, maybe bit. I don't know, something in that ballpark. I Liverpool going to blow their whole thing.
Do you think City will pay 150 million? I don't think they would.
That's euros, Alan. So you're still looking at. Like...
I think they would, yeah.
Okay.
On a 19-year-old. That's
no brainer. It's done.
Alan, you got to remember for Bellingham, this is not a 2-3 year job. This is the next 10 years.
And if City, let's say City pay 150 million for him, okay.
Euros.
Are they going to do the same again for Guardiola? What's it called?
GIVARDIOL.
Yeah.
GIVARDIOL has got a release clause, not this year, the year after, at 90 million euros.
Well, I think they might wait till the year after then.
Bellingham's is 83 million euros, don't forget.
It's paid in one lump.
Well, I'm sure we can do that.
Yeah.
Because we dodgy out, we move money about all over.
Don't say that to Alan. Jesus, Andy, let's start having the bloody heart attack live on camera. Don't say we're dodgy to Alan.
Fucking well,
we could just do a Chelsea. We'll pay it over, 10 years,
25 years.
That loophole will be closed. I've heard that loophole's being closed in the summer.
I know. But,
there wasn't even a loophole. UEFA came out and went, it's always been 5 years and it's never going beyond 5 years. Even UEFA are like, I don't know where you've got these 11-year contracts from because we ain't recognising them. We stop at 5 years and that's it. Sorry. Alec Johnson's with you. Bellingham in blue will happen.
I hope you're right. Yeah. We do need.
No, Charlie, he has. No, Charlie, he actually has. Being serious on that, mate, he has.
So, what if we didn't get Bellingham through the door? What potentially are our other targets? Because if we do lose that, no, I don't want Maddison. I'm
going to sound really snobby here. Maddison for me is a Newcastle United level signing.
Yeah,
and I don't mean that in a really awful way. When we were coming up and we sort of went like the Adebayors and went up that sort of scale, that's where Maddison is for me.
100%. What we've got to be looking at is upgrades on what we've got. Maddison isn't an upgrade on Phillips.
No.
Can I throw a possible free transfer in the mix? And it may
no, joking.
Me.
Not you, Andy. Not you. No.
Go on.
I know a free transfer. Martin be moved from the family stand to the south stand. There's a free transfer.
Hey, there's nothing over the family stand.
Andy, it's all right, mate. His season tickets a pack of double A batteries, so
I'm not remotely bothered.
All right. So, would anyone take a punt up Mason Mount?
No.
Why not?
Not a cat and else chance.
Because it's got to be an upgrade, and in my opinion, Mason Mount. He's not getting regular in Chelsea's team. So what is it? He's not getting regular in Chelsea's team. So what makes anybody think he'll be a regular in our team?
Well, if players leave, mate, how can it be an upgrade?
If what?
If some of our players leave.
Do you know what worries me, Alan? Every team who's been linked with Mason Mount, the supporters have all gone, nah, you're all right, keep him. But nobody wants the fella.
Well, it's not down to us, it's down to Pep, isn't it?
Yeah,
when have you seen a report us being linked with Mason Mount?
I didn't say he's been linked with him. I'm throwing the name out just so.
No, I know you are. I'm just saying the way I always look at transfers is, and yes, people go, yeah, well, he's been linked. You look at who's been linked, how many times they're being linked, and how often they're being linked. If it's just like Fabrizio, just going one player, blah, 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 blah. When I keep hearing the same player name from like 15 different journals, then something's come out. Something's gone leaked at that point of, all right, well, that's clearly within the circle. That's who City won. Like the GIVARDIOL. Every man and his dog's got GIVARDIOL down on the City list.
Nobody saw Grealish. No one saw Grealish.
I did. I got laughed out. I was on another channel, and Ozzy's witness to this. I got laughed out the building when I mentioned Grealish. Everyone laughed at me.
Mind you,
I bet they're not laughing. Bet they're not laughing now, mate.
Well, there's still some City fans that don't want him.
Yeah,
so
I think
Well,
Grealish
in the Imperial with all the ex-Manx from Manchester in the Imperial in Melbourne, there's about 7 of them absolutely cannot stand him. They
because
just
of the
do
look
not like Grealish at all.
McAllister at Brighton or Matomo.
No, absolutely not.
World Cup winner.
Brighton have got an owner a bit like Levy. He'll charge another 100 million on top of 100 million, and that's for ridiculous money for an average player. No thanks.
Well, they have slapped about an 80, nearly 90 million price tag on him, and he has got over 4 years left on his deal. So,
and don't forget, if we don't value a player at that, and Brighton's an example there with Cucurella, we'll walk away and look at Cucurella now.
Have you seen how much Matomo's been quoted at Brighton, by the way? 90 million quid. He's only been in the league for 6 months, and they're at 90 million quid.
Then. I must be worth 50 million, me then.
Where have they got these? Where do Brighton get these valuations from? Oh, he's had a good 3 weeks, 40 million. He's had a good 6 weeks, 50 million.
I think this though, Martin, when you're the selling club, you can ask for what you want, especially when the player's still on like a 4 or 5 year deal. Do you know what I mean? I mean, they did that with most of their players during the summer. Arsenal wanted, I can't remember his name now, but they wanted one of their players, and he was just like, they were like, no, you want him, you pay. I think it was close to 100 million they were looking for him, but Arsenal weren't willing to pay it, so they often toddle off. And the same with Cucurella, we weren't willing to pay the money they wanted for him, so they went to Chelsea because they were stupid enough to pay 60 odd million for him. So,
no, you know what? That's where I was at with Liam when I was looking at it today. I'm sat there going, and I looked at it all and I thought, City won't touch. City ain't going to touch that for that. A, money. B, I don't think they're that on it. And I think a lot of it was, I think it's his agent playing games at the moment.
Can I ask you a question? Is there anyone at Chelsea who don't get, especially the younger players?
Well, the one we've been linked with is Kovacic.
Because Chelsea have got overloaded of players now. So there's going to be a few.
Kovacic. I didn't know people loved him as much as they did.
I
28 years old.
No,
I'll tell you what, is that? He must have had 5 paper rounds.
I thought he was about 34 or something. I didn't realise he was 28.
Yeah. He was at Madrid before, and he was on their books for so long, and he did get in their team quite a long time, and they decided to sell him. So,
as I say, it's all about upgrades for me. And like what you said before, if Bernardo does go, we've got an upgrade straight away in Bellingham, in my humble opinion.
Well, I think with Bellingham, I think he's ultimately going to be KDB's replacement when he eventually winds down and goes.
I agree.
And I think, you know, as we've said on the channel before, I think Grealish was brought in to be Bernardo's replacement, but obviously Bernardo stayed. So I can see that eventually happening. I think Pep is moulding Grealish into that player now that he wants.
Possibly.
I'm honestly looking at it, and I am stuck at the minute. I look at City this summer and I think we're at a crossroads because I don't know where we're going to. Because Rich and Carl have points. I get the points because you're not going to sell them for their market value. Bernardo or Laporte or Gundo, let's take out because he's a freaky. Not. And I do look at Bernardo, and it's not so much Laporte, because I think Laporte could go to a Madrid or a Bayern Munich, or I think he could go somewhere else. I look at Bernardo and I think, from where the reasons you want to leave is where do you go? I don't believe I believe the Barcelona stuff to a point, but Barcelona will do what they always do and will just somehow get themselves out of the problem. I don't know how they do it, but they do it.
Yeah.
Everyone was telling me last season Barcelona were going under and they were finished. And I went, La Liga are not stupid. It's like the Premier League allowing United to go bye-bye. They wouldn't allow it. Same with Barcelona. La Liga are not going to chuck them or Real Madrid out the door. They are their cash cows.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to go on and win the league. They ain't going to stick a ban on them and go, see, you can't do it out for the next 3 years because they're killing their own products off.
Nobody said, Barcelona have not even said they want Bernardo.
No, it's all it is Bernardo keeps coming out spouting.
No, it's his agent. No, it's not Bernardo, it's his agent.
No, I know. I said to you though, Alan, Bernardo had some quotes in the World Cup.
So
he did do an interview during the World Cup.
So Alan, how come Bernardo's not come out and said this is all rubbish?
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy at City. Whenever David Silva, Sergio Aguero got touted to leave City for Barcelona, they came out and said, I am happy where I am. I am going nowhere unless the club wants to get rid of me, but I am happy here. Why can't Bernardo do that?
Because he wants to go ultimately.
Exactly. So let him go. Just go. Let him go.
I mean, it rarely happens, but I think it's going to start happening a lot more. Is you could look at a swap deal, and City could look at and say, if you want to go to Barcelona and Barcelona want you, and they've got to start getting rid of players, Frankie de Jong is the obvious one, isn't it? Because he's the one that's on the most money because he refused to negotiate his price down for his wage. I don't think he's particularly happy there anymore. And if he could play under Pep, I think that's just a dream move for him in some respects. So you could say
on our terms.
Yeah, on our terms.
Mm-hmm.
It's a possibility.
Alan, just to let you know, this was the quote that Bernardo's come out with 3 quotes. One of them here. He said, I was feeling a bit alone. I was feeling a little bit alone at the time in England. I wasn't very happy with my life. And if you're not happy, you don't do your job as well as you do when you are happy. I was well physically, but if you don't do your job with a smile on your face, you're not going to do it well. I had a talk with the club because I wasn't happy with my life and I wanted to be closer to my family, but it had nothing to do with the club. I love Manchester City. I love my teammates. I just wanted to be closer.
Was that in COVID? Which everyone had a hard time then, didn't they? Let's be honest.
I understand that, Alan.
Was that in COVID?
Except Bernardo wants to leave, mate.
Yeah, but that was in COVID times, mate, when everyone was locked down.
No, he came up with a quote in the World Cup as well, saying that he's going to sit down with the club at the end of the season and talk. Bernardo Silva, as Andy and Ozzy said, has never, ever shot anything down. He's never come out and gone, that's all BS from my agent. I'm happy here. I'm not going anywhere. As I keep saying, it's nothing to do with Manchester City why Bernardo wants to leave. Manchester City is not the problem.
It's a mirror image of Yaya Toure and his agent.
Yeah. It's the opposite. He just wants to leave England. He hates. I think Leao came out with a quote, I think 3 weeks ago, about he doesn't really fancy England. Something along the lines of, why would have swapped Milan for England?
Well, it's the weather shit, isn't it? That's why.
Well, I understand that, Alan, but you got to remember we're also got the best league in the world.
Oh, we have. I agree. I totally agree.
You got to remember, Bernardo is not a Manchester City fan. He didn't grow up as a boy blue sat in the kid parks.
Yeah, that's right.
His dream, as it always is, you got to remember, young lads from England grow up wanting to play for Liverpool and United. Lads from Spain and Brazil and Argentina grow up wanting to play for Real Madrid and Barcelona. That's their dream.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So we just have to accept that.
You even get lads like big Norwegians growing up wanting to play for City.
Well, he was born in Leeds. He was born in Leeds, and his dad played for City.
That was one of the things we said when it was last year. The big plus that we had for Haaland was he was from Norway and playing in Germany. There wasn't a big issue coming to England.
Yeah. Plus, he lived in
the sunshine, getting a tan on the tree.
He was born in Leeds. You know,
grew up in Manchester.
Yeah. Grew up in Manchester. Yeah, again, Norwegian. So, you know,
listen, I prefer to play in Spain than England, and I'm English.
Yeah, exactly. Who wouldn't?
Trust me,
some-
I love you to go to Spain and go. I think you should do a podcast from a nice terrace like outside Benidorm or something.
I did it early on in January from Tenerife.
Did you?
Yeah.
Podcast on the road.
Where was our invite?
Hey, I'm in Tenerife in May. Anyone want to?
Funnily enough, mate, I'm in Benidorm in May.
So I left Manchester in 2007 and came to Melbourne where it's sunny in the summer.
Yeah, but we've had Brexit now. You're not allowed back.
Yeah.
Anyway,
my British passport, mate. Don't you worry about that.
The other thing as well is
taking off your customs.
The other thing for the likes of Real Madrid and Barcelona is that yes, they are a big pull. Even still, the bigger problem now for those two clubs is that now the Premier League has completely taken over. It has become the Super League, as we talked before. So the money is in the Premier League. It's no longer in Europe. It's no longer in Barcelona and Real Madrid like it used to be. So you are going to see the difficulty for those clubs where it used to be. Those clubs would come for your players, and it would be they're going to pay them more, and the weather's better, and it's Real Madrid, Barcelona. They're going to go. The problem is now is the Premier League plays way more than Barcelona or Real Madrid.
Absolutely.
The pool can be as much as you want. You ain't paying the money, you ain't going nowhere.
Well, listen, it could be just 4 years of their life coming to England, being set up for life then financially, and then they go pastures new like your Barca, playing for the sunshine.
Yeah. The job, Alan. These are the quotes that came out during the World Cup.
Okay.
I'm very focused. It makes no sense to talk about leaving in the middle of the season. I've been at Manchester City for almost 6 years. A lot of respect for the club. News keeps appearing and people know there has been talks between me and the club. At the end of the season, we'll talk again to see what is best.
Sign extension, a 50 grand increase. That'll do nicely. Thank you,
You do know he's on nearly 200 grand a week, don't you, Alan?
I'll pay him an extra 50 grand.
Not down to you.
I wouldn't, because ultimately he wants to go.
You can pay me that kind of money, Alan, and I'll stay around.
I know, unfortunately.
Anyway, we're going to leave it there. I honestly think this is. We just wanted to sort of put everything to bed of what's going on at the moment, because we're not going to know. There's going to be rumour and counter rumour probably for the next 3 months.
Yeah.
And one thing I will say is give Bernardo 300 grand a week.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Just give him the money. Let him stay for another few years, please. Because I love him. I love Bernardo.
I'd agree with you, Alan, until he started opening his trap.
Absolutely.
I know you get frustrated, but mate.
No, I don't get frustrated, Alan. I don't want players who keep talking about leaving.
I know.
Spot on.
Yeah. You've got to have harmony in that team, and this year it's been obvious there's been some issues in that dressing room with certain players, and the more and more that it keeps coming out, and the more and more these players have an influence over the team and the mood of the team, you can't have them around. So as much as some of these players we absolutely adore and we think very highly of them, if they're not wanting to be here, it's bye-bye, see you later, and thank you very much for your service.
Yeah. Absolutely, mate.
The thing is, I'm not saying Laporte and Bernardo, if they both leave, I'm not saying they leave with any ill will. They've been legends of the club. Thank you for your service. Never be forgotten. Yeah. But at the end of the day, we need to look at strengthening the squad back. The squad, especially in the midfield, needs a refresh.
Mm-hmm.
And now's the time to do it. We can't sit back for the next 2 years and go, let's wait till these contracts expire. And then, for example, Alan, your worst case scenario, like I said earlier on, we get a transfer ban. What do we do then? Play with the EDS for the next 3 years till we come out of a ban?
Well,
or do we do Dad's Army?
Yeah, get relegated or whatever. Yeah,
you've got to move when you can. You can't let Liverpool, Newcastle, United all strengthen up, and we just sit back because we go, all right.
Martin, imagine this scenario: Laporte's got 2 years on his deal left with us. Bernardo has, and just in 2 years' time, we do get that transfer ban, so they're free to leave. So it would be the academy.
Yeah.
There you go.
It would be the academy if we got relegated as well.
No.
Why would it? You just think every player's going to down and go?
Mate, they'll just leave. Of course they will.
Us cheats will be all right, don't you worry.
And then what happens is, Alan, you end up in a situation like Rafael Leao, who's now got to pay 18 million quid to Sporting Lisbon because he cancelled his contract.
Mm.
And now he's begging his current club to pay that for him. There is contracts, Alan. They're under law. You can't just go, cancel that, see ya, I'm out the door.
Yeah, but I mean, Martin, in his defence, the reason he cancelled his contract was quite understandable.
Yeah, but it's been ruled by Cass. The 80 million.
I know, but there are other players who cancelled their contracts in the same position as him. So, and it's understandable why he cancelled it, just like the other players.
No, I agree with you, but he's got to pay that price now.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
But it's more likely to get City. It's more likely that City will pay that price for him and then bring him in the club.
Players rule. If a player wants out,
he ain't getting rid of this layout. And I'll be honest with you, with what I've seen in the layout, I don't think he's an upgrade on anything we've actually got. I think he's pretty bang average, if I'm honest with you, but I've not seen anything special about him. To quote a £90 million and 200 grand a week.
I'm just admiring Andy's room actually. Well, his City memorabilia. Can we just have a bit of a look, please?
Sorry, I was wondering where that was going then.
It's me bar. It's where I do our stream from. I want to be stuck proper bar.
I
didn't get an invite this week. I got left out this week.
I tell you what, you know what my weekend's been like, mate. I don't even think I was on the show, and I'm sure I hosted it.
No, I've got to say, it was actually a really good show. It was a really good discussion.
I'll have to watch it back.
Go and give 9320 Pubcast a watch. It was tremendous. They hit over 600 subs as well over Sunday, which is brilliant. So well done to.
How far short? Without looking at my phone now, how far short are we from 2,000 now, Martin? Subscribers.
Do you know you just have random conversations? Should we go into the finances while we're here as well, Alan?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, I'll get my bank details out. Let's get the analytics up.
He'll be ringing me on his way round
the minute. Let's stop. Rewind. What's the we part?
What do you mean?
Where's the we part come from?
What do you mean? I'm the king of this fucking podcast. I remember that.
Of what cast?
Andy, would you like to do? When we come off the air, we're going to do a transfer, mate. Just to let you know. Anyway, it's all yours.
Andy, I'm open to offers anytime you want, pal.
You'd have to come all the way over here though to be live in here.
Well, it's all right. I'm over in May and I'm over in August and September. So there you go.
I'm away in May.
And August now.
And Rizzy get on because he slags off the family stand as well.
Oh,
the empty stand I call it. Never mind the fucking family stand.
I bet your living room when you watch the matches empty.
I text him every game when I see it. And he sings everywhere in the family stand. I was going, empty family stand again, Martin. And he always abuses me when I do that. But there we go.
At least we're there, Martin, aren't we?
Say nothing, mate. Anyway, no, big thank you. Go and give the 9320 Pubcast your support. If you're not subscribed, please do. We are back now on Thursday. Also, sorry, go and give pitch points as well. True City fan, a lot of love. Veta was going to come on, but Veta was stuck in a load of traffic. Veta Games TV as well. City Extra, go on the show. All the City channels. Yes, I was on City Extra last night. Lovely.
He was very good. I've never seen Martin behave so much in all my life. He was really quiet as well. It was like he wasn't jumping in, and his arms weren't going everywhere. He was that really professional, really calm, collected. He was good. He was good.
We're one big City family.
Exactly.
Thank you. I was about to say before someone just jumped in. You see, you can have him if you want, Andy. You can really have him.
We're all one big City family apart from.
Apart from me.
No. You know what you're doing. Stop. Well, two.
What's going on here now?
No, we're going before Andy gets us shut down. Anyway, Riz was doing impressions on Sunday night of one of them. Anyway, big thank you to everyone. Have a lovely, lovely evening. What happened to Melbourne? No idea. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Please give it a like. Hit that subscribe. We're back Thursday night with the Crystal Palace preview and a few other topics as well. But yeah, we'll see you on Thursday. Keep an eye on that Horsey set with the times. Probably around about 8 o'clock. Will it, Oz? More than likely.
Thanks for having us, guys.
No, anytime.
Andy.
Open invitation to everyone. Take care, and we'll see you on the next one.
We'll speak to you in 10 minutes, Martin.
What?
We'll speak to you in 10 minutes when you're driving around the Etihad.
Christ, I'm trying to we'll get this professional one day. Take care. Bye-bye.
See you, Ozzy.